Hello and welcome to Spotlight on Education. I'm Dr. Jon Kopko, Superintendent of the East Brunswick Public Schools and your host for the program. Today I'm in the Channel 8 studio with Mr. Charles King, who is principal of East Brunswick High School, and we're here to discuss the recent evaluation that was conducted by the Middle States Association of Colleges and Schools. Mr. King, could you tell us a little bit about the project and when did it begin?
It seems like it goes on forever. Actually, it's a 10-year process. The last time the school was evaluated, I believe, was in 1983. We began the current evaluation in 1992-93 school year. There was a steering committee that was put together, headed by Kathy Wilker, and each subject area had a committee, and their job was to sit down and to review what we were doing, look at the philosophy and the goals, and to see if the curriculum objectives met those philosophy and goals of the entire school. So it really is a rather extensive process.
After the self-study, then what's the next step?
After the individual committees made their studies, they made a presentation to the faculty at home. And the faculty listened to their reports, made comments and suggestions, and eventually voted on them as to accept the reports or to reject them. Those suggestions were taken back and they were refined, and a final report was eventually submitted to the entire faculty, of which they approved, and that was then submitted to the Middle States people, and they established a committee to come out and take a look at the school, see if what we were saying was what actually was happening.
Well, I understand there's also a tape that we have that gives an overview of the high school, which the committee did view, and we're going to take a look at that tape now just for a few moments.
East Brunswick High School offers an array of courses designed to meet the diverse needs and interests of its students. Although many choices are available, graduation requirements ensure that all students enroll in courses that provide the knowledge and skills essential for the future. Since the ability to communicate effectively is important to everyone, all students must take English during their 3 years here. The sophomore course focuses on American literature, the junior course on British literature, and the senior course on world literature. As an alternative, qualified seniors may enroll in Advanced Placement English. Each of the required courses encompasses the major components of the language arts: reading, writing, speaking, listening, and their related skills, such as grammar, usage, and vocabulary. In addition, many electives are available, including creative writing, drama, journalism, public speaking, and study skills. Students are also required to take 3 credit years of mathematics in grades 9 through 12. Courses are offered in general, college preparatory and honors, advanced placement mathematics, giving students the opportunity to choose courses ranging from consumer math and algebra to trigonometry, probability and statistics, and advanced placement calculus. Social studies requirements include 2 years of American history in grades 9 through 12 and world history, world cultures in 10th grade. In addition, there are social studies electives such as economics, the law, psychology, sociology, racial and cultural minorities, and the unique Institute for Political and Legal Education, popularly known as IPPO. In this course, students learn the workings of government by taking the role of United States senators and members of the House of Representatives in classroom debates and forums. They also become knowledgeable about constitutional law through their study of the background and current applications of the United States Constitution. The Science Department offers many general, college preparatory, and honors advanced placement courses, which students may choose to fulfill the requirement of 2 years of science in grades 9 through 12. In addition to biology, physics, and chemistry, courses include environmental studies, astronomy, meteorology, and contemporary issues. There is also a course entitled Research and Seminars in Science, in which students have the opportunity to conduct individual or group research on topics of a particular interest to them. Students also may take a unique course called Chemistry in the Community, or ChemCom, which includes 8 units based on current issues related to chemistry and technology. The setting for each unit is a community, which may be the school, the town, or the world community, Spaceship Earth.
Physical education and health are also required every year students are enrolled in the high school. Fitness and the development of skills for lifetime participation in sports are emphasized, and classes are offered in many activities. In health, the focus is on helping students to develop decision-making skills through the study of topics such as substance abuse prevention, family living, and nutrition. Students are also required to take 1 credit year of fine, practical, and/or performing arts, and 2 credit years of related studies from social studies, business, foreign language, or cooperative education. In addition to completing these requirements, they may take electives in these areas. Foreign languages offered are Latin, French, Spanish, German, and Italian. A major emphasis is placed on developing the ability to communicate in the language. The art department offers many courses, including airbrush, painting and drawing, portfolio development, ceramics, advanced placement art history, and humanities, an elective open only to seniors, in which students examine ideas and achievements as expressed in literature, music, art, and film. The music curriculum includes academic, vocal, and instrumental music courses, including music history, advanced placement music, orchestra, band, chorus, and wind ensemble. Computers also are an integral part of business education courses in which students learn word processing and computerized accounting methods. Business law and managing a business are among the other courses offered. The home economics curriculum includes courses in foods, food science and nutrition for sports. Students in preschool education have the opportunity to apply the ideas they learn in the course since they actually conduct classes for preschoolers on a regular basis. The technology department offers courses in photography, woodworking, power mechanics, and the graphic arts. In graphic art classes, students learn desktop publishing and produce a variety of printed materials for the school.
Now for a brief look at the extracurricular program, which includes more than 50 clubs and other activities. Among them are the Student Council and Class Councils, Drama Club, National Honor Society, Art Honor Society, Foreign Language Clubs and Honor Societies, Future Homemakers of America, and publications such as the Yearbook, Literary Magazine, and School Newspaper. East Brunswick High School is a member of the NJSIAA and Greater Middlesex Conference, and the athletic program is among the most comprehensive in the state. In total, there are 24 varsity and 9 junior varsity teams, and approximately 96% of senior varsity letter winners go to college each year. In fact, about 90% of the total senior class continues in post-secondary education, with about 70% going to 4-year colleges and the remainder going to 2-year colleges and business schools. East Brunswick High School's continuing goal is excellence in all areas: academics, athletics, and the arts.
What did the visiting committee do during the evaluation?
Well, actually, one of the first things they did was view the tape that we had just seen, which I think gives a great overview of East Brunswick and, in particular, East Brunswick High School. But the committee consisted of 26 educators from throughout the state. Actually, they were all from New Jersey, with the exception of the chairperson, Dr. Silo, who was from Pennsylvania. Originally from New Brunswick, however many years ago. So he was somewhat familiar with East Brunswick prior to coming. They were divided into various teams as well. Each subject area had a visitor, and their job was to go to each classroom within the department. For example, in the social studies department, the individual, actually there were 2 in social studies, they went to each class for each teacher, and they might have stayed 10, 15 minutes, and what they were trying to do was to verify, as I said, what was in the self-study was in fact occurring within the school. They spent 3 days of really an exhaustive process. They met with, I believe you met with them as well. They met with central administration. They met with the high school administration. They met with the department chair people and the supervisors. They met with members of the staff. They met with members of the community. They met with students. And in that 3-day process, tried to get a total picture of what we are doing at East Brunswick High School. I felt that they had that opportunity. As I said, it was an exhaustive process, and on the last day, Dr. Silo, the chairperson, gave the faculty a very brief verbal overview of what they had found during their visit.
Well, a few months after their visit, you actually received the report of the evaluation. Could you tell our audience how that report is actually organized?
Yes, it's a rather extensive report. Again, I think it's 30-some pages of an overview initially. And they looked at East Brunswick, for example, and they said, well, you know, East Brunswick in the 1950s and even into the 60s was a farmland, and to today, in 1994, a suburban community of 43,000 people, 7,000 students at the present time, expected to go to well over 8,000, almost 8,200 by the year 2000. So they looked at, basically they looked at everything within the township. What kind of community are we? What are our expectations? They looked at the high school in particular, and they were kind of amazed at the fact that there are 9 separate buildings, and that somehow this all comes together, and it does apparently work. They were commented on the fact that East Brunswick doesn't have a main street, which I recall when I first came to East Brunswick, it was somewhat of an adjustment to having no main street. And they identified the high school as actually the main street in East Brunswick, because it is a focal point for many educational activities, athletic events, and so forth. They went from there and they looked at various recommendations in each one of the areas. They made some general comments. They said that teachers make these programs work, and that the teaching staff, the professional staff at the high school, is extremely knowledgeable, experienced, they're motivated. They talked about our students. They said they couldn't believe the ability of some of our students, the fact that they're courteous, which is an important aspect in today's secondary schools. We hear all of this back and forth, what's going on. Well-behaved was another one of their comments. They talked about how forthright they are, and we certainly know that. There's never a dull moment, and we've noticed that if you want to ask a question of an East Brunswick High School student, you had better be prepared for an honest answer. And they discovered that, because they comment that in the general overview section of the introduction of the final report. They talked about parents and the high expectations that they have for the schools, and we again have experienced that through our time in East Brunswick. They said that that's one of the great strengths of the school, the fact that the community expects the schools to perform at a very high level. And it was nice, they said that in fact we were performing at that level at the high school. They also said the administration was strong and capable. We don't know if we want to agree with that, but they did comment on that. They said that East Brunswick High School sorely needs to be remodeled and retooled. They went back to the fact that the school is 35, 36 years old, and that a number of students have gone through the educational system, and that it's time to start thinking about redoing some of the things that are there. The committee, and I was most impressed with this comment that the committee made. They said they were extremely impressed with the academic achievements of our students. And this was in spite of the fact that the building has great limitations. What that means to me is that the community, the central administration, the staff, the high school administrations, and the students have to work together to accomplish this feat on a daily basis. And quite honestly, that part of the report made me feel rather proud to be in East Brunswick. They then went into a series of accolades and some recommendations that they made. So it's from there, for the introductory comments, they became much more specific.
Let's talk about some of those specific commendations at this point. Could you share some of those with us?
Sure. One of the first things they said that they were highly impressed with the course offerings at the high school. If you are, which certainly you are, but many in the community may not be, there are numerous courses at all levels available at the high school. And they commented on the number of honors and AP programs available to our students. They talked about dedication, commitment, enthusiasm, not only of the staff, but on the part of the students. So they were very pleased with that. They talked about the music department and the excellence which they have exhibited with the number of students that they place on regional, state teams. Even we have someone next week who's going to be participating in Cincinnati at the national level. So they were very impressed with the music department and the things that they did. They looked at the special education department and said that they were meeting the needs by providing alternate programs for our students. They talked about the social studies department and the tremendous effort that they have made and the national recognition that they have received with the bicentennial group for the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, which has competed in Washington, D.C. For the last 7 years, the only school in the country to have accomplished that. The various geography awards that have been won, participation in model UNs and model congresses. They also talked about the job that they've done in working with Rutgers with the law days and the legal areas. So they were very complimentary towards the social studies department. They talked about the health department and the fact that we are teaching students CPR as well as the basic issues of the day and how to deal with them and relate to such things as AIDS and other current health issues that our students are confronted with on a daily basis. They talked about the guidance department and the college extravaganza, which will be coming up in this year again. Every other year it's done. And the effort to bring college admissions people into East Brunswick so that they can take a look at the community and and our students have firsthand access to those individuals. They were very complimentary about that. They were impressed with our college and career center, which is located in the trailer between buildings 5 and 6. They talked about the foreign language department and the level of excellence there with the offerings is in French 5, Spanish 5, the AP offerings there, as well as a broad breadth of the curriculum there. They looked at the English department and they were extremely impressed with the writing program. And I know that Dr. Hoffman has done a great deal of work in that area. And we're really just getting started to some extent with the writing program. It's been improved each year. They were quick to recognize that improvement and that growth and where we are in the English department. They talked about the science department, and they were both most complimentary about the science department's work in the environmental areas and dealing with other social issues that affect science, as well as the work in the AP physics and biology and chemistry. They were extremely complimentary there. They talked about the math department and the achievement of the students, and particularly the achievements on the SAT scores. As you know, our students came last year with an 1,004, and the math scores are well above the national, state, and the surrounding communities. So they were very complimentary there. Talked about the physical education program and really the depth and the breadth of that program, which includes, they made particular mention of the adaptive physical education program, in which we make a special effort to tailor the program to meet the needs of those students that need special attention. They talked about the technology department and the desktop publishing operation that is intact. They talked about the art department. And in the art department, they said not only are we teaching such things as AP art history, but we are dealing with the hands-on manipulative type activities in that department. So they went for department by department and made any number of positive statements about what was going on within the building.
What about some of the recommendations?
Well, they made a few of those too. we had hoped that they would all be merely accolades, but they did look at, and basically they fall into 3 or 4 areas. Technology in each one of the departments. They saw a need for East Brunswick High School to be more attentive and to be more forward-looking in terms of its utilization of technology. So there are numerous comments about the area of technology. Matter of fact, the particular comment was the provisions be made to upgrade the available technologies in all disciplines. And then they went into some of those disciplines and were much more specific. The recommendations also fall in the area of facilities. They came down pretty hard on us in terms of the facilities. As I had indicated before, the committee felt that we need to address many of those areas within the facility. To give you a specific, they talked about heating. One of the days that they were there, it was kind of cold at one point and warmed up, and the system just doesn't adjust to that. I think we had a few sprinkles one day, and they got wet walking through the halls. So they commented about the need to deal with that, and we certainly have done that. They also talked about instructional strategies. And they talked about this in each one of the areas as well, that much of the instruction was done in a lecture format, where the student was more of a passive participant in the process. And their comments in a general statement, but they made specific comments that we needed to alter that, and that process is underway. They also talked about various areas in the curriculum and curricular issues. They said we needed to focus more on multiculturalism within the curriculum, not only in teaching strategies and things, but when it came to recognizing different learning styles. And it's interesting that they made that comment because we have begun an initiative in that area, and not as a result of that, but this kind of reinforced many of the things that we have been trying to address for some time.
Now that we have these recommendations, what will be the next step?
Well, the first thing to do, and the first thing that we did, obviously, was to sit and carefully read the report. We met with the faculty, gave the faculty an overview, presented the faculty with a copy of the entire report. We've asked the department chair people at their department meetings to begin to address some of the areas in terms of setting priorities. Is this recommendation something that can be done today, or is it something that needs to be planned and budgeted for and so forth, and it may be able to, we may be able to accomplish within a year? Then we need to take a look at those things that are going to take us more than a year to do. For example, one of the recommendations in physical education was that we be aware of and that we try to keep a balance between male and female instructors. We had the opportunity as a result of a retirement to replace a staff member just recently. So that recommendation was one that we could implement. We hired and recommended a female, in addition of another female member of that staff. So there are those recommendations that lend themselves to immediate action, some that are more of a long-range nature, so we've begun that. We're in the process of establishing I guess an overview or an oversight committee which is going to take the recommendations that come from the various departments, analyze them and prioritize them, and then sort of oversee the fact that they are going to be implemented. I found the process on a professional basis to be very rewarding. First of all, the self-study. Next, the presentation of that information to the committee. To have 26 educators from around the state to come in and look at what we're doing and assess the various areas, and then finally to get the report. We need and we intend to work very diligently to accomplish those recommendations while building on what they applauded us for. I mean, we have no intention of not continuing that. I think sometimes you have a tendency to do that. Well, this is good, so it's going to continue. It doesn't continue to happen. It only continues to happen if you have a dedicated staff that understands what the objectives and the goals are, and certainly the support from yourself and the board and the community. That's how we move forward and continue to grow and hopefully continue to be a nationally recognized school.
Well, thank you very much for being here with us today and providing, so much information on the Middle States evaluation. And I'd also like to take the opportunity to compliment you and the entire staff for the diligence and preparation that went into that self-study, because sometimes that's a large measure of things that get identified even prior to the evaluation taking place. Certainly the report, anyone who reads the report, the commendations that are included in there are wonderful, wonderful commendations. And I think that also is reflective of you and the entire staff. And I think when you do take a look at the high school and the level of achievement that we have in the high school, I think the large part of that can be attributed to the leadership in the high school. I think it's reflective of your commitment, your spirit, and also your enthusiasm for the high school. And I thank you for that.
Thank you.
To our audience, I'd like to thank you for watching and encourage you to be with us again next month when Dr. Frank Cardella will be discussing our district mathematics program.